Well, hello. Today I'd like to talk to you about the Waterman's Taperite. This is one of those pens that came along with the idea of competing against the Parker 51. And we'll take a look at how successful they were or weren't, and we'll look at some variations of the model. So stay tuned. If videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens, both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. If you'd like to talk about this pen or pen restoration disasters, as you will see, please feel free to leave a comment down below. So the Waterman's Taperite, this puppy beside me, came in several versions. It was actually meant to be competition for the Parker 51, which was introduced, but had some patented features which Waterman couldn't just steal. So these are my notes, because I'm not doing this from memory. So then from the outside, I'm definitely seeing a 51-esque look. Oh, that's not very 51-esque, but otherwise very 51-ish. When you open it, you get ink, which, if you remember when this appeared in Pens in Use a few weeks ago, was an issue then. It looks almost hooded, but it isn't really hooded. In fact, the advertising at the time noted that unlike the 51, you can see the nib and correctly orient it to the paper. Now, this was, in a lot of ways, stuck in the past. Even as the 51 went forward, this was a pen that is a lever filler as they were starting to go out. A lot of these were celluloid. I don't know for 100% if this one is celluloid, as other pen makers were looking at new plastics, for better or for worse. One of the problems if you're looking at restoring these, and this, oh yeah, I think I have ink in the cap, because look at that. We'll keep the ink cloth close at hand here. One of the problems that they had is they were so tightly assembled that they couldn't be easily taken apart for repair. I shattered one. Now, they came in an American and a Canadian version, and there were several models. The American version was not a screw cap. This is a Canadian one. The one I shattered was American. It was a slip cap. The American ones had an aluminum cap. The Canadian has steel, so this is steel. The Canadian is also easier to take apart. I can pull this apart. A little bit of force. But with the American one, it's almost like it's designed to go in and not come out. The feed is a fairly conservative sort of a feed, nothing too groundbreaking there. Otherwise, very torpedo type design. If you like the 51, you'll probably like this. I've found some Iroshizuku Konpeki leaking around here. How do I know? Because that's the last ink I had in it. So apparently it got into the cap somehow. So apparently leaking ink is a thing with this pen, for better or for worse. So, and I should note, the little bit of design on the cap is kind of a nice touch. Sort of an Art Deco clip that I think is kind of fetching. So let's take a look at how she writes. So I'm using a Iroshizuku Chiku Rin in the pen. Let's see about flex. Oh, they're right though. I definitely can tell which way it's oriented. Woo. So not a lot of flex. A little line variation, but not flex. Wetness and flow. I think you can already tell the answer to that one. This is a very wet pen, even with such a fine nib. Wetness and flow, let's see. Smear test. Oops, you can't see the smear test. Whoop! Oh, the extra color comes from one of the other pens I reviewed tonight. I'm reviewing 4 of them in a batch. And then reverse writing. probably an extra fine, a little scratchy, but I think that goes with the territory, to be honest. All right, so while I was writing that, I realized I never showed you this. Waterman's made in Canada. If you were wondering how I knew it was Canadian, it wasn't just the physical features. I had a pretty good clue. So what do I think of this pen? You probably know I have a bias toward vintage, and I definitely have a bias toward the less common vintage. Now, I would say this was probably a fairly common pen. I don't like it. It has just kind of been a disappointment to me. You know, one of the things was the shattering the other one. That was a disappointment. I don't like the way it writes. I don't like how ink just seems to come out of it. It just doesn't feel good writing with it. It's decently attractive pen. It's not my favorite pen by any means. It's okay. I don't know. I guess I expected more. It's not bad, I suppose, but I don't like the fact that I have ink on the section every time, and the fact that I don't know where it's hiding, but that Pilot Iroshizuku is in there. Iroshizuku blue, what is it? Whatever the blue is that they have. A Konpeki blue, sorry. That's still in the cap from the last time I filled it. I am probably going to have Chiku Rin in it this time, so maybe I have to soak the cap in water, which I don't like really doing. You know, it's just, I don't know when is the next time I'm going to ink this pen up. It's one of those that I'm probably not going to ink up very often. Once in a while, just to prove I still own it, and that's it. I don't hate it. If I hated it, I wouldn't review it, because I don't want to waste time doing reviews on pens I hate. I do reviews on pens if I can find some good in them, and I can find some good in this one. It is attractive. It does lay down a nice line. I just don't like laying down that line with it. So I hope that was interesting. I hope it was useful. So if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens, both new and old, and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. If you'd like to comment on this pen or other pens of this like, you know, that are sort of that Parker 51 look-alike deal, please feel free to leave your comments down below. And I thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.